I would say that marketing operations are central to enabling marketers to sail in the right direction. And there's a lot of lack of awareness of what marketing ops is in India. So I would say that it's a combination of one. We talked about data, right? So data cleanup, data enrichment, right? All of that.
So with respect to engagement at the other front, where data coming in from email, workflows triggering, what landing pages working, what are the different accounts that are visiting our website. If it's just the conversion, let's go check on the website. Let's test a few different models. Let's try new CPAs. Let's try new title tags.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the 6th episode of Unwrapping Marketing, one piece at a time. Today we have Anand with us. He's been doing marketing operations for quite a while now. It's close to 10 plus years. One of the few marketing ops person that I know of in India. I would say that marketing operations are central to enabling marketers to sail in the right direction. And there's a lot of lack of awareness of what marketing ops is in India. So we'll actually try to explore what marketing ops is all about, right? Welcome Anand to the podcast. I would love for you to
Hey,
introduce
thank you,
yourself.
Karthik.
I'd love for you to introduce yourself, about your experience and how did you move to marketing ops, etc.
Hey, thank you, Karthik. Thank you for having me. It's definitely a pleasure being here. Been meaning to do some podcast about marketing operations, and thankfully, I knew you and you were doing all these interesting podcasts. So I thought I'll just jump in and try to spread the awareness so the myth around markups and the clarity around markups is spread in the right way, especially in India. So yeah, I've been in marketing, specifically marketing operations, neck deep into it in the last 6 to 7 years. Before that, been doing different roles, been working in different B2B SaaS companies specifically. Been around the entire house. I think most of the common South Indian SaaS names, I think I would have been a part of. Zoho, Freshworks, Sprinkler, now at CleverTap. So everywhere, like there's been new challenges, different type of engagements, and the entire marketing operations as a function has been perceived very differently at every company. Not at a company level, even at an industry level. B2B companies look at it at a different way. B2C companies look at it. They have been like started at the very bottom of MarkOps, learned everything from scratch, got used to a few cool softwares, which was very helpful for me in the scaling up in this career, and gone up step by step. So every step of the way, learned new things, still learning a lot of new things every day, just to optimize how marketings perform and enable them to do more with whatever resources they have. That's essentially where marketing operations fits in. Usually, if you're a startup or you're a mid-market company or a scale-up or you're a unicorn that's going towards the sky, every sort of company needs a certain level of marketing operation support. This is essentially to position themselves, understand where they are in the market, know where their customers are in the market, and kind of target and fine tune all their campaigns and different channels to ensure it's curated for those specific audiences. And markups are the enablers for this. You talk data with respect to marketing. Markups helps a lot with respect to bringing in data from the open sources, bringing in enriched information, enabling content syndication programs, lead generation programs, go-to-market programs, even webinar promotions, landing pages, data that are coming in from all the different digital channels. So in a way, marketing ops was like pushed into the front, like the front line because of the entire expansion into the digital era, where we have all the paid, organic, and SEO, SEM, all those different angles that are generating data every day. You need a team to specifically focus and segment and curate these data sets, learn insights from these data sets, understand where the company is trying to solve certain problems, and ensure that we have data around that area and
Hmm.
use that data to curate a story. So that's how marketing operation has been so far, and that's how I've learned the entire set of things.
Nice. So let's take a step back, right? So you explained a lot about marketing ops, right? So if I have to let's say very clearly define, what how does marketing ops role look like, right? So what do they do on a daily basis, right? So what is, I'll give you a simple example, right? If it's an SDR, right, so their daily looks like they have to make, so many emails, I have to send so many emails, I have to make so many calls, right? Or maybe if I pick up, performance marketing role, so they'll probably have to set up Google ads, they'll probably have to set up, LinkedIn ads, right? And generate like MQLs from those opportunities, or like generate MQLs, right? So that is typically a, how a day looks like for a performance marketing person. They'll probably have to work with design team, the creative, the content team to get the copy, right? So those things, right? So typically that's how the job is, right? And if I know, let's say pick a marketing ops person, what are their main key areas, and like how does their job role look like?
So I would first want to clear the misconception in terms of what marketing operations does. We're not just another team that enriches data. We're not just market research. We're not just building automations. We're not just managing tools. We're a combination of all of it and in a strategic, right? So this strategic quote might be not like, hey, come on, everyone says strategic nowadays. No.
Hmm.
So I'll just clarify these different concepts. So MarkOps on a regular basis would need to understand what their company does, who they're gonna target in the market, who are their ICPs, scam accounts,
Hmm. Hmm.
excuse me, and the target persona that they're going after, and ensure the entire data sets and different tools or industrial platforms or the sources that they're manually extracting data from are giving you these informations about these people on a at least 80%, 80 to 90% accurate way. So when your outbound teams go out, they know who to contact, who to engage, and they also understand that these data is valid. So the lack of the turnaround time, the engagement time, the conversion time, everything is speed up, right? So we're enabling the sales team to do more and quality work and with the valid data set and on a
Hmm.
constant turning base, right? So we constantly update, constantly keep track. That's one element. Marketing operations also work on the weeds in terms of fine tuning data from the inbound perspective. Whatever engagements you capture from all the different digital channels through inbound, you understand what are the different sources, which sources are working good for you, which sources are not, what's bringing you the best ROI, which has the low CAC, and all the different value points, right? So you keep a track of all those things, consume, measure, keep a repository of all these different set of information. So you help the company learn, adapt, and again focus all their approaches to the respective segments. So whatever a company spends money on, especially in marketing, which in today's market condition is considered as the biggest money burner, right? So whatever your marketing team is spending money on is the right space that needs to be spent, or the right space that you have to position your brand, your keywords, everything. And there's also an analytics segment in terms of streamlining processes within marketing. This is, I'm not talking about paid ads and other stuff, within marketing. Getting the content up and ready and on the website and launching it, sending the email promotions out on time, having lots of nurtures and drip campaigns for the right set of audience to ensure that all of them are engaged and kept in the pipeline rather than losing touch and moving them to code. That's one element. And nowadays, the biggest piece where markups comes in is ABM. uh, Again, ABM is another topic where there are too many different concepts of ABM, right? So essentially, you're identifying who's your account and how you want to go after it, but enabling all those different data points in order for the digital team to use, the field team to use, the sales team to use, and ensuring everything is accurate and in the systems, recorded, tagged to different attribution sources, tagged to different revenues. All these are maintained on a daily basis by markups, right? So this is day-to-day data, day-to-day engagement, day-to-day update. So that's the
Hmm.
level of influence marketing operations have within the marketing org, but it expands to other teams as well, depending on project to project. Some teams want to do a new campaign which targets a certain set of things. So it's very flexible, right? So we kind of help everyone time to time. And nowadays,
Correct.
in India specifically, markups is not just seen as markups; it's also considered RevOps. Right? So you
Hmm.
also inevitably get pushed the task of managing revenue operations, at least from marketing perspective. Sales, there are sales ops. Right? So at least from a marketing perspective, you do all the revenue operation works to an extent performance marketing.
Got it. Yeah. So I would say that it's a combination of one. We talked about data, right? So data, data cleanup, data enrichment, right? All of that. One and number two, we also talked about. Initially you mentioned about automation, right? So probably I can
Yeah,
say that the number two is automation. Number three, probably managing tools and tech stack for a company, right? So which is
yeah,
predominantly MarTech stack. Then probably reporting is also part of marketing ops, correct, right?
yep,
So you
it is.
basically take
It is.
all the data, all the marketing campaigns and everything, and then report it, put it in a single place, so that the boss can actually monitor and figure out what's happening, right?
Yep.
Do you want to include? Is there anything else? Did I miss out? We talked about
I
four
think
things, right? Data.
these four elements are mainstays, but the unifying factor is the getting the message across, driving the message across, and driving the data across from all these four touch points is the
Hmm.
biggest crucial role, because it's kind of a program manager role. Essentially, MarkOps is nothing but a program manager role with certain expertise in all these platforms, right? But understanding the business and cascading all those information to the respective stakeholders on time is the crucial point I see today, because usually that is not how the markups is perceived to be. But that's the companies that perceive markups to do it are pretty successful.
Got it. Can you give me an example of this, especially when you said I want to just make sure that the right data is with the right stakeholders, right? So give me an example for that.
For example, say you are suddenly seeing a dip in your traffic, you're seeing a dip in your conversions, right?
Hmm.
So usually, if it's paid campaigns, the digital teams will take a look at it. They'll continuously
Hmm.
streamline different things, but they
Hmm.
are confined to whatever analytics and data points that they capture within Google Analytics and Web Analytics, right? So with respect to engagement at the other front, where data coming in from email, workflows triggering, what landing page is working, what are the different accounts that are visiting our website, all those different engagements your pay team might not have insight. So this is where
Hmm.
we understand there is a problem. We understand what are the different patterns that are associated to the problem. Is it just the traffic, or is it just the conversion, or is there something else associated? If it's just the conversion, let's go check on the website. Let's test a few different models. Let's try new
Hmm.
CTAs. Let's try new title tags. Let's try more meta tags. We try to do all these technical background
Hmm. Hmm.
activities to ensure that now.
So we talked about let's say finding out about data, right? So whether this campaign is performing well or not, right? So you keep a track of all of that. But practically, whoever I speak to, most of these tools are on silos, right? So most of these functions and most of these sub functions, you call it, right, are on silos, right? So email marketing is a
Exactly.
separate tool. Then you have maybe some other tool, right? Outbound probably is running on outreach. Predominantly, the lot of them are in silos, right? GA is a separate this thing. So you try to bring the data into somewhere. Then there are multiple data points and data stuff that you have to bring in from different places, right?
Yep.
Of course, you have marketing automation platform which integrates most of the data, but I still feel that the reporting is not that great, especially in marketing ops, because as a I've been in marketing ops for quite a while, and founders are mostly comfortable with the Excel data, right? I don't know any founder
Yeah.
who's comfortable with a report that is being generated from a Salesforce or a HubSpot, which was directly sent to them. And I tried that; it doesn't work. Right? Uh, so, what is your solution on like for this, right? And like, how do you bring everything together? How do you make sure that
I,
you're on track? Because you can't go and the other problem that I see, right? And as a marketing ops person, you have to go check everything, every campaign on a daily basis, which is absolutely impossible for you to do if you're running a larger organization. If you're, let's say, running 20 campaigns at the same time or 30, 40 campaigns at the same time, right? Now, how do you solve this problem?
That's the trick, right? So one good resource that marketing operations have is we have the handy automation capabilities with respect to all the different platforms. So we know the limitations of all the platforms. For example, what can be captured from GA? What are the different type of data we can capture from GA? And what are the different information that our marketing automation platforms capture and store? how long it stores, how it segments it into different buckets, and also all the different outreach platforms of the CRM platform. The main key is to have all of these integrated, so you know with respect to a lead, whatever engagement they have, be it a sales engagement or a cold outreach engagement or a digital inbound engagement or even an offline engagement, all of it is tracked in a system which has unified that information in the entire history of that specific lead. So you know, hey, this person has gone through so many different engagements with us, be it a sales outreach, be it an asset download, be it a webinar registration or attending. So all those different engagements, it helps you understand the lead better and focus your approaches better. So our goal is always to unify all the systems with respect to a lead or with respect to the specific
Mm.
prospect that you want to go after. And then with respect to campaigns, in terms of understanding which are the different campaigns that have influence in that lead, knowing more about your brand, showing interest on your brand, and then engaging. So that history is always captured. It's usually ensuring that you know when to set up a campaign and you tag everything, the different UTM parameters that people try to avoid constantly. So those are the biggest resources or assets to tracking your engagement, understanding more about your ROI. It's just one metric. Again, when I say attribution, everyone kind of gets a jolt of energy saying, "Hey, but attribution, like in the industry, agrees. Attribution is just one way to measure revenue, and that's about it. It's not something that you have to run behind. But from a marketing operation perspective, it's pretty crucial because we need to understand that data. We need to know what different touch points help in kind of engaging and converting. So we can give weightage to this with different touches. Start with first touch, last touch, now multi-touch. There are so many different shapes also. So all these things comes from setting up a basic architecture to the entire marketing tech stack, right? Having clarity in terms of where it starts, where it ends, what are the different engagement touch points, and how to tag those engagement touch points, and having everyone at an org level agreeing and accepting those architecture.
So we talked about attribution, right? There's always this question that I get, right? First touch, last touch, multi touch. What do you suggest?
It depends on your goal, right? So if you're trying to understand whether a specific channel is effective for you, you need to do a bit more deep dive. So again, if you want to give weightage, it's usually a model where you kind of agree on saying like, hey, let's give more weightage to the first touch because it seems like most of our past conversions have directly been influenced by the first big touch. Right? Most likely in the past you would have only been running events more than ads, right? Now you would have started putting more money on ads, started putting more money into organic SEO campaigns and stuff like that, right? So you need to understand the different inputs that you put in terms of that attributed engagements coming into your system. So based on those different inputs, you can give certain weightage to those different touchpoints. That's where the multi-touch model came in. So again, now multi-touch, HubSpot is kind of driving it at a large level, where they
Hmm.
want to uh, ensure that everyone uses the platform to tag and look all those different multiple touch points. Marketer also does it, but in terms of what attribution fits for you, there's no one answer that fits up. Everyone will have a unique answer depending on their historical engagement and historical data.
Is it not always easy to do first touch and last touch, right? And the toughest thing to do is multi touch, right? So what is your um,
It's
like?
again, it's the splitting of your budget, right? So if you
Hmm.
put your budget on the first touch channel, say your first touch is mostly PPC, right? If your maximum budget goes into PPC and the last touch is mostly a webinar or an event, right? Or even a sales outreach. If it depends on which are the two budgeted areas where you want to give weightage to and understand the ROI and effectiveness of those. It could be multiple different channels. It's not just confined to these two. So there are different combinations. It depends on what's the strength of that company with respect to marketing. Are they pretty strong in PPC? Are they pretty strong in say a field event or an organic promotion? So based on that, you can start measuring, and it differs from company to company in terms of the different type of engagements, different regions they engage with. and what are the different channels that are effectively constantly doing different actions. So all those things determine. If you ask me, I've listened to so many experts to try to solve that attribution problem as well. Because the most common theme is these three away from attribution. The most common recommendation is just tag multi-touch. Let's capture all the different touch points, but let's just stay focused on the goal. Let's close business. Right? Let's not
Yeah,
fixate on the attribution.
yeah. Eventually, what I also understood very early in my career, I mean, not very early, right? So very early, I mean, I've been a marketer for 20 years, right? So I thought, okay, generating so many number of meetings or opportunities or leads will solve some of these problems. But eventually, like you said, right, the problems that will solve for a CEO or a leader is like, okay, so you generated so much of leads, so how much revenue did you bring in, right? So that is
Yeah,
probably the only question, and nobody cares. I mean, I've presented with a lot of data, right, to the CEOs and to my reporting managers who typically are CEOs, right? So that in my life, I think I've presented a lot of data. So eventually nobody cares about, yeah, okay, how many touch points? Like they don't care, right? Like, okay, did they land on, like, organically, or did they consume your content, or did they did they attend a webinar, right? So these things that doesn't matter, right? Like they always say that, hey, okay, this lead did it convert? Is it an opportunity, right? So those are the typical questions that I also get an answer, like, answered, right? So you're absolutely right. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? Forget about multi-touch and do the basic marketing stuff right. And understand your audience, and I think that's more than enough, right? So understand your audience is to
yeah,
understand where they are in the buying journey.
exactly.
What is it? Yeah.
Exactly the case. So initially, attribution was brought in to because we've had lots of paid channels. Every company wanted to pivot to organic model. They wanted their brand to do the marketing, right? So attribution was essentially to understand how long is it taking and what are the different touches it's taking to move those engagements from the paid channel to the organic. So attribution was to ensure we measure that that shift from paid to organic is happening and ensure that that organic shift is what we're promoting and projecting. But somewhere along the line, I think every company's got stuck with the attribution for the deal defect.
Yeah, I still see a lot of challenges in most companies, right? So let's get back to the basics, right? So now, how did you become a marketing ops person, right? And you started with probably Zoho, if I'm right. Zoho is what
Yeah,
you kind of started your
you're right. You're
this
right.
thing, right? So then you
I
went on
so
Zoho, Freshworks, and Zuddl, Sprinkler, and like CleverTap, right? So some of these are like big names, right? And yeah, of course, like Zuddl is still a relatively smaller company, but some of these are. Sprinkler is a public company, Freshworks is a public company, Zoho is a huge brand, right? And everybody knows CleverTap is one of the oldest SaaS companies in India, right? So they're also quite huge in terms of the revenue. So how did you? I mean, I'm pretty sure that you didn't start as a marketing ops person, so you eventually
no,
become
I
a
didn't.
marketing ops person. How did
I was
that
a sales guy.
thing? How did the transition happen, and what skills somebody needs to become a good marketing ops person, right? And I'm just curious because based on my understanding, right, I think somebody to become a good marketing ops person, you need to have a fairly good understanding of most of the channels, right? And
Yeah, definitely,
does it
definitely.
help? Does it help because you've been a marketer and then sales guy and then eventually become a marketer? And then from there you kind of did a marketing ops because you had a holistic view of multiple functions, right?
I would
How did that
say,
transition happen? Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good question, and I've pondered over this topic for a long time. So I would say uh, sales helped because when I was at Zoho, I started off as a salesperson, and
Hmm.
while being there, I initially started selling tools like Zoho Campaign, Zoho Survey, Sales IQ, which are
Hmm.
essentially
Hmm.
all your marketing automation software, right? So understanding how the customers use all these platforms or all these features from those platforms gave me a clear understanding of what are the problems a marketing operation person or a marketer usually fixes, right? Usually, most of the folks I talk to, or most of the folks who signed up for those, are actually marketing operation folks in the US because I was taking care of the US lead. So they're from US or UK, and they were mostly predominantly solving. They had very specific questions. Hey, can you give me these analytics? Can you help me build these segments? Can I A/B test? Can I do different types of A/B tests? Can I understand whether the website traffic is engaging on my website? So all those questions kind of help me adapt to that entire segment pretty much faster. then I wanted for a change because again, like every Indian, US shift had a toll on me. So I wanted to shift, and marketing was a great area. And now that I've had this exposure in the all the platform, I wanted to use the same experience into marketing, and got a similar role where I manage all the webinar programs for product marketing, email promotions, nurture programs, all the different activities there. Spent a good 1.5 year or more there at Zoho, specifically doing all these things. So many activities, right? And with
Mm,
respect to Zoho, you have to plan and run your own campaigns. So we were actively working on it. There was Rodrigo Waka, who was the marketing head there at that time. He gave me really good insights in terms of how to build a very effective churn. He gave me lots of documentation. I kind of went through all those documentation, which was pretty good. And then I moved to Freshworks. Freshworks is a different challenge. Right? So Freshworks is very fast, and you have lots of folks who are super coordinated. They have very specific expectations out of everything. So that was another upskill and an update of myself where I need to now add more skill sets to my and I had to work with all those folks, understand what are the different channels, understand which tools are you effectively using. So the biggest advantage for me to kind of kickstart my career in MarkOps is one, Zoho, where there are lots of B2B SaaS marketing automation software, right? Two, at Freshworks, we initially used Autopilot, but by that point, Fresh Marketer was beginning to kick off, and we wanted to use
mm,
our own product. So now I have to now work with the product team to kind of help with that migration and implementations, all the feature updates, new requests. You can talk to some of the PMs at Fresh Marketer. Like we built a workflow which they called like Spiderweb because it was for a survey, which was a dynamic survey. We completely automated that entire flow. It was
mm, mm.
interesting, right? All these are pretty challenging, and it's a problem solving. The most important skill for a marketing operation person is you need to have that curiosity to solve problems using all these softwares that you are exposed to, right? That's the essential nature of the job. You have to solve those problems. You have to ensure there's a very effective solution that's mutually beneficial to everyone involved, and the marketing campaign runs well for the team. So again, Freshworks helped me with all those different new skill sets, new requirements. I built an entire team there who are still there. Most of them are still there, thankfully, and I'm happy that they're still there. Um so built an effective process, understood how to track budgets, how to understand
Mm.
which assets contributed to revenue and which assets had an influence on the lead conversion, which assets perform better from a general perspective, right? And then I wanted to try new things. That's why picked up Zuddl. It was definitely a challenge. I picked it up as a challenge. I again wanted to set up the marketing operations segment there, but I then sooner realized, hey, no, the companies at an early stage, at this point, they don't have uh, that much of a necessity
Mm,
to have
mm.
a very broad marketing operations team. Then the Sprinkler opportunity came up. I just moved to Sprinkler. Uh, two teams were there. I just had a couple of stints with those two teams. And now with CleverTap, again, set up a complete new team, built the marketing operations function from scratch. We've pivoted a lot. We're doing a lot, everything for the productive, and we're hoping for a brilliant 20.
Nice, very nice. So can you highlight a specific instance where or a project, right? So where you had to navigate a very complex marketing operations problem, and like how did you overcome it? You can probably pick any of your previous companies, right? And
With respect to marketing operations, right? Nothing ever when they send the request to you saying, "Hey, I need to so and so." Nothing ever
mm,
starts as a complex one. Everything looks simple. Hey, they need a landing page. They might need a survey form. They need these automations, but the requirements keep piling up. Right? So uh, when you start building on it, now there will be a creative addition to that ask. Okay, can I have another page which only like let's redirect the A/B traffic to on that page, let's give them a survey which gives them these options. And when they pick a certain option, they should be put into this list for this nurture.
mm,
And when they click on this CTA, they should be routed to another nurture or they should be routed
mm.
to a SDR. This might look pretty simple to explain, but I think you know the
Yeah,
background of it. Right?
yeah,
You have
yeah.
to connect your You have to connect your website to marketing automation, to outreach, to your email nurture sequence, and then to a survey platform. And then the dynamic trigger should also trigger a new work. So these kind of requests happen day in and day out. And I think everything is a brilliant way and a creative way of doing something new and kind of ensuring. I know where every marketer comes from. Right? They want to do something creative, something new to their prospect, and something more specific to their prospect that makes them understand, like, hey, yeah, this company understands me. They're asking me the right questions. They're showing me the right content. They're guiding me to the right. So that understanding of or empathizing that thought process also helps you understand and navigate through how can I do this better, what is needed, and what is just another vanity, right? You have to take that call, you have to coordinate with them, work with them. So there's lots of project management to and fro conversations with marketers. But I think now there is a very rigid framework that has been established in the B2B SaaS. The creativity is a bit of a luxury in today's market. So you just have to stick to what works. Today there's not much room to take this. So that's where the MarkOps necessity comes in, right? We can highlight, hey, don't spam customers. That's a problem. Okay, we can highlight these records are not ready for you to use. They need to be warmed up. They need to be engaged before you send out flash campaigns to them. Hey, don't route all these folks to a LinkedIn campaign. Route them to a landing page campaign so that that re-engagement and retargeting model kicks in, and our paid campaigns know that hey, these visitors are visiting our website from those accounts again. So that's where that different engagement comes. Everything can be made complex if you don't know what you're visualizing as an end goal. So that's where we come in. We understand what's the ask, what's the end goal, what are the most mandatory things that you have to have, what are the things that you can kind of ignore or you can look at it as a preview. So that's how I've handled it so far. So far, it's that's the way I usually work. If there is something that could potentially cause issue for a campaign or a particular content, we highlight it up and saying, hey, you
Right.
can do it, but doesn't mean that it will help convert. The goal that you're trying to reach might still be affected by what you're trying. So it's your call to take it or not. But I recommend most.
If a follow-up question on that, so you may also mention that nothing is a you know everything starts very simple, like on papers it'll probably look very really easy to do, right? Anything that you remember, like a very crazy request that you kind of laughed like as soon as you heard that, right? Anything that comes to your
No,
mind?
yeah, I still remember the example that I earlier mentioned, right? Fresh Marketer, we were just adopting it. We were on, like, we had so many campaigns running in autopilot, we already had to migrate into Fresh Marketer, right? And on top of it, there was a request from a close investor, right? So he gave me a request, bro, I want to run a survey for a particular set of leads from a particular region. And
Mm.
this survey had like 12 opening questions, but depending on every answer, the survey kind of puts them into different journeys or puts them into different survey notes, right? So it was very simple. It's essentially a survey, right? But we're not using a platform that has already been adapted to building a survey on a different platform. That integration was not yet built at that point, right? So we had to use webhooks, get that data in, and every different dynamic data we had to now trigger into a different webhook. It literally, at the end of the day, looked like a spider, that entire workflow. So the product manager who owned Fresh Market, right, I showed him, "Hey, I'm building this workflow, but it's kind of getting stuck here and there." He was like taking a full screenshot of it and then took a printout and gave it to us. Like, so this is the capacity of Fresh Marketer. Please go talk to it. That's how, like, explore the capacity of that platform. But it came as a very simple request. I don't think the guy who gave me, he did not imagine that that might go up to up to a level of completely exploring all the feature sets of a platform.
Yeah, nice. Survey, typically you have typically in surveys, right? So you have different workflows. If yes, then say this. If no, say this, right? If he's answering like this, then say that, right? If it's a closed-ended
Yeah,
question, like if there are four multiple choices, right? If he picks one multiple choice, then show this, right? So it's very complex. I understand. So
it
let's talk about
no, there are simple solutions also. There are simple solutions also, but it depends on your tech stack, right? So if you already have it ready made, so if you want to run the survey tomorrow, so I can't buy a new tech stack. So you have to do with what you have, and that's where you keep on understanding what are the different capabilities.
Okay, so now we talked about all of this, right? So how does Anand's tech stack look like?
So thankfully I've been exposed to all the tech stacks in Zoho. While I was at Zoho, I try to play with all the tools, try to understand what are the features. Is there any competitor? Who are the competitors? Where do they originate from? What's their market size? Those kind of things. I just do it to spend my time because I was in the night shift, right? I'm not getting calls connected all the time, so I shouldn't sleep. I'm just for doing all these research at that point. With Freshworks again, fresh marketer, fresh sales. I think an autopilot was a good solution. Uh, Now I think it's different. So I used to research a lot of MailChimp and Salesforce. So when I was in Zoho, I kind of built all the comparison documents for Salesforce
Mm-hmm.
versus Zoho. Right? So I kind of try to look at all the features, what are the different issues with features, what are the complaints, how enterprise is comfortable, but not the other segments are. Right? So where Zoho fits in. So those kind of features also help. I've been using Salesforce for like the third organization now. I've used HubSpot in three organizations. I've helped, in between, I helped with a consultation project where I've used Marketo, which is also pretty neat and which is the most famous marketing automation in the West, but not everywhere else. I think that is also shifting. My favorite tech stack is HubSpot or Marketo with respect to marketing automation. Salesforce is good, but I prefer Zoho CRM a little bit more because uh, you out of the box you just get what you need. You can customize further if you're not an enterprise. Out of the box, you get everything in Zoho CRM, but you can still get it on Zoho One and others.
Mm-hmm.
No paid promotion. They don't really get. But yeah,
No, I like Zoho because Zoho is very very easy and simple to use, right?
yeah.
Salesforce is pretty complex, right?
Yeah,
It's like
Salesforce needs us to be ready with the right data set. We need to have a very clear agenda in terms of what you want to save and what you don't want. With respect to Zoho CRM, you're a startup, you're starting up, or you're a mid-market company, you don't have that much data coming in that you need a Salesforce level of a platform because Salesforce is no way cheap or it's again its capabilities are high, right? So you most likely will be spending more on a platform which you're not going to be using. Whereas Zoho gives
using
you
yeah.
what you pay for, gives you all the features you need. You can execute immediately. You can have everything done pretty much straightforward and it helps you kind of run your business efficiently.
And
With
other
respect to
tools like
marketing automation, now I'm starting to love CleverTap because I'm trying to use more of CleverTap's features for our own use case. So I'm trying to incorporate all the different capabilities that they have. And one other platform is Factors AI. I think she kind of is at this point is irritated about me plugging in Factors AI everywhere because their capabilities are really good. I did not expect it. Initially I was handed Factors AI because not many were utilizing all the different features. I started
mm,
exploring, worked with the CSM on different use cases, and they're pretty good. They're still improving, but the features are good for a company that wants to do a certain level of ABM, a certain level of analytics. So we're trying to see if we can bring our ecosystem, our tool stack integrated between Factors AI, CleverTap, HubSpot, and all those things, and to give a very effective experience to our customers as well as our market.
thanks everyone for watching this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode and please subscribe. Thank you.